Welcome, everyone. You have made it to Tuesday, April 14th. It is 6 p.m. We are here with two members from the Tumwater School District Board and our City Council. The meeting has now been called to order. We're going to do roll call, and we're going to start with council and staff, and then go to the school district. And so our thoughts were, we all can see our names. So if you could say your name and your title, and for council, how long you have served the city of Tumwater. And yeah, let's do it. Also, staff, how long you served our community. So we're going to start with Acting Chief Carlos.
Acting Chief Carlos Keelan, Police Chief, been working for Tumwater for 25 years.
Councilmember Angela Jefferson, position number 2. I was appointed during COVID, and then I ran for elections. I would say about 5 years now.
Oh, I said that, but you're just right here. So why would I go all around and go back? Okay. You know, I was going to follow the rules.
I was going to follow the rules of mayor.
That's why I like to break my own rules. So
yeah. I'm Melissa Beard with Tumwater School Board. I've been on the board since 2016, 10 years. And for the council, position 4. I got appointed at 2014? Wow.
So I am Peter Gadi, and I believe, what is going to say? I think. I have been a council rep since, this is my 5th year.
Yeah, you're on your second term.
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Leah Dahlhoff, and I'm fresh to this role. So I have served on council since 2018.
My name is Paul Simmons, City Administrator, and Thursday will be the end of 3 months.
Brandon Whedon, Tumwater City Council, position 1. I have been here for almost 3 months. Appointed in January. Chuck Denny, Parks and Recreation Director, 31 years.
How many days is that?
Megan Sullivan, she, her, position 5, Tumwater City Council. I have served for 4 months, and what day is it today? 14 days. Newly elected this year, and have served Tumwater in other capacities for 20 years.
I'm Julie Watts, School Board Director for Tumwater School District, Director District 1. And I have been serving the school board for a whole 4 months.
We're all looking at you, Joe Happy.
Yes, I've been here a while. I mean, not just tonight, but I've been here, I think that it's 18 years. I started in 2008. So I've been here a while, been through a few things, and even done some things right, and contributed to the community. But that's because Leetta, even before she was mayor, she would kick me under the table, look at me, raise her eyebrow, let me know that maybe we'll talk about that later. So I still feel at home under her leadership, and I'm glad to be with this council and these new people. It's a good feeling to watch all these good things happen. So I'm happy to be here. Glad to work with the school district. I've served on the school board before, so I know how exciting it is.
Thank you, Joan. We look forward to your engagement with this meeting with a lot of the topics that I know are close to your heart. I'd also, just because staff are here that aren't at the main table, I'd still like staff to identify themselves because they are taking time out of their day to be here and support this joint meeting. You want to start, Kelly?
I don't know if the microphone is on. I'm Kelly Adams. I'm the Assistant City Administrator, and I have been here for over a year. I'm Patrick, City Attorney, and I've been with the city for 20 years.
I've been IT Director. I've been here for 20 years.
Tracy Core, Deputy City Clerk. I've been here for a year and a half. Yeah.
I'm Jen Cole,
Didn't ask him to say that. So with that roll call being established, I do have one question for council and our guests. We have a guest who we are waiting for to join in the discussion with the school resource officer update. Do you all feel comfortable just pushing that down a little bit as we wait for that guest? And we're going to start with Chuck regarding shared facility usage, and he's going to tie in the Tumwater Fresh program. Can you use your microphone?
Can I interrupt for just a second regarding Councilmember Von Holt? Has she been officially excused?
Thank you, Tracy. It's why such a great team. She is excused, and we have a statement from her that Administrator Simmons will read. Thank you. So for our guests that are here, Julie and Melissa, for the council work sessions, council is comfortable being more informal and using first names if you feel comfortable. And also the expectation is we lead with curiosity and we have questions and we engage with each other. So if that's comfortable with you two, we like to model that with these subject items to feel free to engage and ask questions with the intention for me as facilitating is building the relationship and the rapport with you two who are present with the current council and our staff. Does that sound okay to everyone? Okay, before Chuck starts, I do have a question. Who is missing from this room? So we know board member Ty is in Montana. We know that Rob made mention at one of your school board meetings that he would also be out of town. So I would like, not expecting Melissa or Julie to answer anything, but I would like a follow-up or a circle back of why Tumwater School District staff are not here, why the superintendent is not here, and the board president is not here. I would like an update. So Paul, could you make a note that I'd like to understand from a meeting that we have been scheduling and working on since January, why no staff are present and why the superintendent is not here. Thank you. Now with that awkward transition, Chuck, would you like to talk about shared facility usage and the Tumwater Fresh program?
Yeah, this issue came up, for president in November, December last year. I met with Mel Murray from the school district, exactly his title, facility director, to talk about some of the things the school board was talking about and things that they would like to possibly see happen. Most of that revolved around water parks doing more maintenance on school district property because we use the property. And although we pay fees to use the property, they were hoping that we could come to an agreement where, similar to what Olympia does, and maybe Paul, you can jump in if there's questions on that, where Olympia takes care of a lot of Olympia Parks takes care of a lot of Olympia School District grounds. And in exchange for that, they get use of the facilities after school hours. They schedule groups on school district property. So obviously, whether the school district does that or the city does that, there's cost involved in that. And that was really my discussion with Mel. We don't have the capacity to do that right now. We would have to add staff. We'd have to add equipment. Costs that the school district is currently incurring to take care of those grounds. Mostly they're playgrounds, right? Big grass, open space. So we kind of left it at that. That we were in a position to make a new agreement similar to Olympia's. Financially, it makes sense for us. Use-wise, it doesn't really make sense for us because we don't use a lot of outdoor school facilities. And maybe to outline that, the kind of the money back and forth between the city and the school district as far as the Parks Department goes. We spend about $62,000 a year renting school district facilities. Probably 95% or more of that is indoor. So it's day camps and teen camps and sports camps, basketball league, TYP, the Tumwater Youth Program. Those are the big ones. We do a few classes and small events, but mostly it's almost all youth programming and it's almost all inside. I think we spend about $1,600 a year renting baseball fields.
This is the 8th city that I've had the opportunity to work for. And every single one of them, and I've worked primarily in the parks and recreation world, every single other city had a joint use agreement that formally established how the city and the school district would share facilities, recognizing that we're both taxpayer funded. We're both supporting communities. There's benefits to the school district to have communities in the schools because it increases the value when you all need to pursue ballot measures and other things. When we have an opportunity to have kids and adults and families in the schools, it also increases kids' health and activeness and the level of activities that's happening in the community. So there's benefits across the board. And so where everything I've seen it from Department of Health to best practices, there's always formal standards of how the facilities are shared. And each city that I've worked in, they've looked a little bit different, and there are different nuances of how each one's used. So I don't think we need to go out and mimic anything that's happening in any particular place. We need to come up with something that works for us. But when talking to Chuck, I was surprised to learn that we don't have an interlocal agreement between the school district and the city that speaks to facility use. And it would be great to whether it be a 1 or a 2 or a 3-year goal, to talk about what a process might look like to develop such a thing. The reality is, when those fees get passed on to us, we then pass those on to the participants in the programs. And so now we're basically charging the people that are paying the taxes to support both our entities another fee on top of that, which for most kids is probably fine, but for some kids does create barriers in their ability to participate in that sort of thing. So I think there's an opportunity to serve the community better. And I think if we put our heads together, there's maybe some things that we could do that maybe could increase and support maintenance operations or other things, and vice versa. There may be some things that could improve our ability to serve the community from a programmatic standpoint. So we wanted to get this on here as more of a conversation starter to say, hey, is the school district interested in starting a dialogue around what a joint use agreement might look like?
So the way it is now, what we just go off is your facility use fee schedule. And yeah, I think you were probably there last time that was redone. Parks and Recreation and the YMCA are a category on the fee schedule that we paid less than, other nonprofits or community groups that just want to use it for whatever purpose. So, but I would say on the flip side, the city does receive some money from the school district. At the golf course, we charge $1,500 a team for the season. So boys and girls, 2 teams each high school, so you're paying $6,000 a year for golf. That's about a 75% discount on what we would see in revenue if we didn't have school. It's certainly a money loser for us, but something that we're committed to, and serving youth in the community and getting people out there, getting families out there. That's our revenue side. We bring in about
Thoughts from council and our guests? What Chuck has shared with us?
I can speak to the fact that as a coach and a parent, it's been very frustrating to get field time, to get court time when you are trying to coach kids, especially in the younger kids that do not understand the game yet. And when you have a game a week and you only have a practice a week, or if there's breaks in between and you don't even have any time, trying to work with Charlie and been like, hey, what do you have this week? What's available? And there's nothing. And yet you go into a facility and it's somewhat empty, or you look around and go, I have this gym. You have to also build like some relationships too. It's like handshake deals are sometimes valuable. It's like, how do I get more gym time? And those have not worked out for me, but I have heard of other coaches being able to use facilities in that way. And it's frustrating when there should be a process and it doesn't always seem like there is a working well process to it. Before I was appointed here too, I was talking to Melissa about the fire versus ice game and how hard it was for our facilities to be used for giving back to our community, and that there was no real way of working that out to where there wasn't a financial cost back when they're providing such a great service back to our community. So,
I mean, to add to that, Melissa and I shared the cost of that, and we sponsored that.
right, yeah, a total cost of, yeah. And it was one of those things where I said, it's not really even the cost, that's not what the problem was. It was the whole entire principle of, the idea behind it was that they are providing a service back, they're giving back to a set of children that wouldn't otherwise have access to these. And it's, I would just love to go ahead and be able to work on something together to make it more inclusive, a better process, that we're not having barriers for kids to get into facilities. You know, the more we keep our children and our youth into programs like this, the less trouble they can get into. And it's about building the community. We have playgrounds that are not used all summer long, that are just sitting there when you have, you know, grandparents that could walk to some of these elementary schools and be able to use an open field. They don't have a playground. So
Brandon, you are open to
I
having
am
ongoing
committed.
conversation with the school district regarding shared facility usage.
yeah, absolutely. I'm totally committed to that process.
I think what we would be what the school district would be interested in is providing more opportunities, you know, for after school or weekend, you know, just more extracurricular activities, which is not our expertise. We're great with them in the school, and we need more partnerships with the community, with the city, with others about giving extracurricular activities, and not just, you know, not just athletic, opportunities, but opportunities in other areas, opportunities for our elementary, opportunities for our middle school. And so in terms of the, you know, shared facility use, I think what we would be looking for is what can we increase the offerings to students as we work on shared facility usage? What more opportunities can we provide kids? I think that is a great partnership.
Absolutely, yeah. And then, like you said, it's not just about the sports, it's about all extracurricular activities. If it's music, if it's art, if it's sports, it doesn't matter. The more that we keep our youth involved, it builds community, and it keeps everybody engaged, and it brings not only the kids, but it also brings in the parents and the grandparents and the aunts and uncles. They're actually building a fundamental community where we're all going ahead. And we already pay for it as our tax dollar, so why is there such a barrier to being able to use it?
And that aligns with your strategic goals and priorities that
Right.
you've developed and said that are a priority.
Exactly.
Difficulties, yeah, with budgets, I mean, it all comes back to budget, right?
Right.
And your difficulties with budgets and the new janitorial contract where, you know, they're not being paid overtime, so their hours are set. And that hasn't been the case in the past. And they don't work on Sundays. So that takes, you know, half our weekend of whatever we're doing out of the possibility for schedule. So really it's a shortage of, you know, gyms in particular, because you can do so many things in that space that we're trying to address. And I think as we move towards, you know, designing a community center, that's gonna help and solve some of that need. But still, parents be able to take their kids to an activity, whatever it is, at the school where they go, most convenient, and it's them with the people that they go to school with, so it's comfortable and probably most enjoyable. So we try to do that.
I do want to make sure too, I know we're talking about places we want to go. There is a good foundation to start from. Without the partnership with the school district, our programs would be severely lacking. So our ability to do TYP, our ability to do the youth basketball and the access to the schools that we have, speaking as a parent, with kids who have grown up in these programs, it's incredible. So I think we have a strong foundation to work from, so I don't want to make it sound like we're complaining or that we're not happy. I think what I would love is, I think there's an opportunity if we work together to serve the community even better. And that's really, I want to make sure that we kind of get that tone.
Noted.
Back in the olden days, Tumwater Hill used to do some classes after school, because there's that gentleman that taught writing, and they did like a foreign language, and they did some art classes and stuff, and then parents paid like a nominal fee, and I remember that they had, I remember my little guys in that, so there was, because we didn't have, I don't think we had white hair at the time, so that was a precursor to, I mean, that's how long it was. Yeah, just opportunity to try something when you're talking about some other offerings that they had, things like that, the schools, that they allowed, some opportunity, entrepreneurial opportunities
Right.
for some artists in town to be able to. Kind of that, and then I was just, so, can you go play on your playground during the summertime? If I wanted to take my grandkids to Water Hill Elementary to go play during the summer, you can't do that?
I don't know, I
Oh,
didn't
okay.
think that was allowed. Well, I know what Lake for sure is fenced, so, yeah,
Oh.
anything that's fenced off.
Oh.
Which, I mean, again, that goes back to, like, there's gonna be
Okay.
security issues and there's gonna be,
Wondering,
yeah.
I mean,
I think, like-
I see something,
yeah.
most of that's for me to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
that
yeah,
Peter
yeah,
G-
we used to-
I don't know that Peter G is roped off,
Yeah.
but Black Lake, like, the only way in is.
We're not promoting.
Yeah.
No, I just have to, again, olden days, used to take my kids up to play on the
Yeah.
playground, so, in that neighborhood, so, it's been a while.
Peter G is not locked on the weekends during the school year. I have taken my child to Peter G.
Yeah, that's, I think Peter G, there's no gate around that one.
I'm just gonna acknowledge that at East Olympia, there's a
That's right.
fence all the way around it.
Yeah.
But there is a gate that you can access to get in, it's just not friendly or welcome. So you can actually get onto the playground and into the field, but you have to know, where the gate is. in order-
I'm not supporting that.
But it's open though. So you can walk through it. I don't know if people.
I'm not advocating, because I understand. But if you wanted to go, you just put a
Break in.
Step over the fence.
Gated, but the gate is not locked. And I'm a Tumwater resident that has Olympia schools for my school district, and they have a whole key card system and like an application process. So advocating that we go in that direction,
Yeah, I feel
but I think there are more.
Track the calls that you get. But all valid, right? So ongoing conversation of what that, those things that, unintended consequences, physical barriers. That's great. Before Chuck moves on to the Tumwater Fresh program, can I do a temperature check with Julie and the rest of council? Do you feel comfortable moving forward with ongoing conversations about shared facility usage?
Absolutely.
Because I could have some budget implications, so heads up to council when we're starting our budget process to think about that line item potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just more access to the community. Healthy environment, healthy community, especially with all this digital generation. We need to get them out the house and just get them out in the fields and running and just jumping, because it makes them healthy.
Breaking into parks, yeah, Angela.
I'm very much in support, and what I wanted to add is that my background is in public health, and there's like public health science that supports pretty much everything that most of you have said here tonight about, connection to schools, mental health, physical health, pro-social, like building community, parent and family connection to schools. So, big support.
Definitely interested in continuing the conversation. I think really the benefit of our having like a joint meeting between council and the school board is I just really appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation and be able to explore, but definitely interested in continuing that.
Thank you. I see Joan Cassidy has her hand up, then we'll go to Eileen, and then our guest is here, so we're gonna pause the Fresh program. So Chuck, you have to stay a little bit longer. So Joan, you have the floor.
You're talking to me?
Yes, I'm talking to you.
Oh, okay. I thought you said we'd wait until after. I just had a quick question. Is the school board know that some of the hesitancy that over time they've had about us using things and having to sneak into the things as our city administrator has shown us how to get into the property? I'm just wondering if the school district has some issues with insurance, with people using school facilities. Is some of the hesitancy of being more liberal, if you will, about having activities on their campus?
We definitely have had people using our facilities that we have to be careful. And So there's insurance issues, there's like a fee schedule that, you know, Chuck talks about, like group one. I don't know exactly what they're called, but yeah, the fee schedule is such that we're going to prioritize programs that serve our students, and that's why there's a lower rate. So we've had lots of conversations. I think that's probably how I first met Brandon, was talking about this basketball game. And I think it's trying to make sure that it's not based on who you know, but we're trying to be fair, so then we're not caught in, you know, trying to either say yes or no based on who we said yes or no to before. So I think the continuous talks is, you know, about, you know, if we're creating a program that serves our students, I can see that as an avenue to talk about this. But we are, especially recently, our facilities have been used in a way that communicates something about our community, and that is what we are hesitant about. And that is what we are always thinking about in terms of fairness and First Amendment rights and all of those things. But I think we get there by having the conversation and figuring out how things benefit our students, our community. That was a really long answer without really saying
Yeah. The reason I asked the question is because this is not a new conversation for council over the years, and that is an answer that we always get. And so if we know we're going to get an answer similar to that each time, maybe there's something we could do as the council, as the city, to enter the conversation with some suggestions. And I just want to make sure I hear what you're saying, that it depends on who it is who's going to use it, what it is they're going to use the facilities for, that they would be allowed to do it. I'm just trying to understand the gate here for allowing to use the facilities.
Mm-hmm. Great point, Jen, thank you.
Yeah, right.
Eileen, you had your hand, do you want to wrap this up and then we'll go to the school resource officer update?
I just wanted to follow up on Paul's comment about the interlocal agreement, that we don't have an interlocal agreement on facility use. I just found that kind of a surprise, I guess. Right? That would be something that'd be nice to talk to.
That would take care of it.
Yeah, a lot of this, if we had something in place with their administration, so it would make.
And one model I'd love to throw out there as we talk about a joint use agreement. When I worked for Parks Tacoma, there is a whole child initiative, which is this concept that the park district, the city, the county, the school district, everyone's coming together, and the idea that kids are a third of the day they're in the school, a third of the day they're with the community, and a third of the day they're with the family. And how can we interweb our resources from a capital perspective, from an operating perspective, to best serve the whole child and develop healthy kids and healthy communities. And so we can talk about some high-level premise to start the joint use agreement conversation that could set the stage for the types of things we would love to see to get out of it.
Yeah. Thank you for that follow-up. So Chuck, do you have enough direction to then take this support and then come up with some prospective options and ongoing conversations?
Yeah.
Thank you, Eileen. So now we're going to go back to item number 3 for the school resource officer update. And with us tonight, we have our acting chief, Carlos Quiles, and Thurston County Sheriff Derek Sanders, who are going to talk to us about where we're at the current state. Chief, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I would like to thank Director Watts and Director Beard for being here, and Sheriff Sanders' busy schedule and taking the time to show up for me this evening. And I asked Derek to be here because I think it's important that people see the relationship that Tumwater has with the Sheriff's Office. It's an important relationship. We work closely together. We support one another. And certainly we would reciprocate anything the Sheriff's Office does for us, we do for them as well. I'd also like to acknowledge Lieutenant Cole is in the audience tonight. She runs our school resource program, so she's attending to answer any questions that I may not be able to. So thank you for being here. And I want to just really start this talk about perception versus reality on the school resource officer and what has happened since Officer Bowling was reassigned on February 23rd. So the perception was that reassigning the SRO was going to cause major problems for Tumwater School District. Since the temporary reassignment, Officer Stauffer has been delivering outstanding level of service, and to date, I have not been notified of any calls, issues, or investigations that have not been handled by our SRO and or with support of our patrol staff. And if school district staff were here, I would confirm that and making sure I'm getting that accurate information. But as of right now, we are still performing and delivering a high level of school resource officer service to all of the Tumwater schools. So in the interim, while we're waiting to get staffing so that we can reassign a second SRO, what have we done? Our officers are frequenting the schools on a higher frequency basis. We've increased school zone enforcement so that we have visibility in the schools so people see us out there. And that was done in conjunction with the sheriff's office for helping us with that, showing what being collaborative and working together looks like. We've identified 4 pretty big events that a school resource officer should attend. And so we've asked Officer Bowling to attend both graduations for Tumwater High School and Black Hills High School, as well as a car show that's happening at Tumwater High School that he started, and as well as the Tumwater High School prom. So the same SRO that these kids have seen will still be present for them there, even though he is temporarily working patrol right now. Going forward, what does this look like, as we reach the end of this school year and we look forward to the one that's going to be starting here in September, is we in Tumwater firmly believe that Tumwater cops should still be in Tumwater schools. Understanding that if in September we are still unable to fill a second SRO, what do we do in the interim? We have one SRO and he is doing just fine. I do believe that he is capable of handling all of Tumwater schools by himself with our patrol staff. But I also know that the sheriff has mentioned that if patrol staffing is available or he has staffing available, that might be something the sheriff's office would be willing to talk about or consider. And I won't speak for the sheriff. I'll let him speak at the end there. But certainly, if that's the direction that the council and the school board wanted to go, we're very comfortable working with the sheriff's office. Like I said, we work hand in hand, support each other. I would just want to make it clear that our intention is to staff a second SRO. And when we have that ability, we would like to make sure that that opportunity is still there so that Tumwater officers are in Tumwater schools. That's our number one goal. We only used to have one SRO for a really long time, and it worked just fine. Is it ideal? No. Is it the worst case scenario? No, right? One SRO can handle the schools. Having 2 is great. It frees up more time, allows the officers to create a little bit more relationships and have more free time. And that certainly is important. But the reason why I say that is I want to make it very clear, like we are not in a worst case scenario in Tumwater schools. And certainly, if I thought we were, I would be on the phone with Sheriff Sanders saying, I need your help right now. And I know that he would do everything in his power to help Tumwater and the Tumwater Police Department. In closing, before I turn it over to Sheriff Sanders, it's important for people to know that there are many people at this table who are invested in Tumwater and the Tumwater School Districts. Mayor Dahlhoff is a Tumwater kid. Councilmember Sullivan is a Tumwater kid, graduated from Tumwater. Director Beard has a child in the Tumwater School Director, or in the Tumwater School District. Councilmember Watts, I'm sorry. My apologies. Director Watts has a child in the Tumwater School District. Director Beard is a Tumwater kid, graduated Tumwater. Councilmember Brandon graduated from Black Hills High School and has kids in the Tumwater School District. And I myself am a Tumwater kid, graduated from Tumwater High School. And the reason why I say that is to put emphasis that everyone at this table wants the same thing and cares about Tumwater and Tumwater schools just as much as everyone else. And certainly, I firmly believe that if anyone in this room thought that we were in a dire position where we really needed to do something drastic now, we absolutely would. So with that, I'll turn it over to Sheriff Sanders.
Oh, good evening. Also Tumwater grad. I'm gonna go ahead and drop that little truth bomb on you there. 11. Sorry.
We don't want to hear from two,
I know.
2000.
But nonetheless, just here to support the city of Tumwater and the school district tonight, help answer any questions if we have to. I will tell you right now that like police staffing is one of the most challenging jobs in the entire country. Managing a police department, hardest they've ever done. About a month ago, I think we were at the Tumwater School Board. Since then, I had 2-3 abrupt resignations from the sheriff's office. So we're also back in like the how do we get this thing ramped back up? And I've got 10 waiting to go to the academy right now. So we're not too dissimilar from the rest of our counterparts. For me, the SRO program is extremely important. As a county elected, like I see it across the entire spectrum. So all the way from Yelm to Tumwater, North Thurston, Olympia. I really truly believe in the SRO program. And so really my only role here is just to support the city however we need to. I have no hostile takeover, not here to take the SRO contract or anything like that. I want to make it really clear though, some different options came up at the last meeting with the school district, and I kind of leaned over to Paul and was like, hey, like they need to be kind of educated on this a little bit. Putting patrol cops in schools is not an SRO program. That's not what that is. An SRO program is very specifically built around selecting competitively the right person to be around kids and do a job that is no longer about law enforcement, mostly about social services. It's really social work. And so simply having more presence around the school is a security issue. That's not a school resource officer issue. Like school resource officers do provide more security, but that's almost like an ancillary duty. Really what they're there to do is resolve problems at the lowest level and build relationships with kids. The coolest thing, in my opinion, about the school resource officer program, and I know this is true in Tumwater, is what kids will disclose to SROs they trust. The party where there's going to be hard drugs, the party where there's no coordinated designated drivers and everyone's going to be drinking. Like those are the kind of things that are preventative in nature. And it's one of the few areas in law enforcement where we really get to claim the preventative side of things. Most of what we're doing is just reacting to crime. SROs are truly there to prevent crime, not just walk hallways, with a big stick. So I want to be really clear about like that model of just getting more cops at the school. If there's a security problem, well, we can always throw more patrol deputies at that problem, but that's not an SRO. SROs have a lot more training. They're handpicked, and it's a very, very specific program if you want it to succeed. So just wanted to add that feedback in there, I guess, unsolicited feedback. And again, however I can help.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Can we hear from Jen since she's been running this program? Can you come up to the table and join us? Sure. And just tell us, you've been going through this and part of this. What are your thoughts? And what would you like council to know?
First and foremost, I'd like to say that our SRO program, I think, leads the county in how we handle situations. The natural model that we follow, our SROs follow, I think was brought up at the last meeting, which I really appreciate.
Julie brought that up.
Yeah, I really appreciate the education factor that you have on that, because not a lot of people understand the model that we follow, which is the educator, the law enforcement officer, and the informal counselor, right? And our SROs have done a phenomenal job of really living that model and providing a service to this community that, really has set the bar, has set the bar for a lot of counties. And I think the fact that so many people have come out and, spoken positive things about the program says a lot about the officers that we select. Sheriff, you were very eloquent in what you just said, and I really appreciate that, because it's not just a security thing, and it's really how they live and do the work. And the support that we've had from the school district, staff, the students, the board, over the years, has been phenomenal, and we want to keep that going. you've heard me over the years, we want to continue to build the program, right? The fact that this is a setback and this is a temporary setback is unfortunate, and we want to keep building this program because the service that our SROs provide is invaluable. And so, when I say that it's a temporary setback, I firmly believe that. I think SRO Stauffer is doing an incredible job. And, getting good feedback from the schools, getting good feedback from some of the district members of the district level, since he's, been doing it by himself. And, you've
I've
seen
heard from my own team what an excellent singing voice you have.
That was surprised, like, it's like, do you know the SRO at your school?
Well, he has a great singing.
He does. And I mean, and you've seen the evidence, the cases that he works regularly, right? But, with that said, is that he also has the backing of our detectives division, because our SRO program is run through our investigations division. And so, he has that support where it's needed. It's not just him out there doing it by himself, because there is patrol, there is investigation, all the way up to me, the chief. We step in where, the work needs to be done. That's never been a problem. So, I continue to support, Tumwater cops and Tumwater schools, whether it's one or it's, the four that I wanted the last budget cycle. So, like I said, I can't say it any more than that. So I hope that really, impresses upon you guys how important that the Tumwater cops and Tumwater schools is.
And the reason why this is an agenda item is to have school board members and staff from the school district to connect with council regarding the current state and expectations we have moving forward. And I just want to note again for the record, there are no staff from the Tumwater School District. And Tracy, can you verify that there's no one from the school district participating? Oh, what?
Want me to list the names of people off, because I don't know who they are for sure.
Do you all want to hear who's watching online? Yeah, Tracy, read them off.
I have Jerome, Sad Cull, I have a Sarah W., I have Ty Vincent from the Olympian, and Ty McCutcheon.
That sounds like that.
No stuff again. So it's hard for us to be here today to come up with some perspective options, right, to go and mull over, when we have the opportunity to have our sheriff here and our chief and Jen, who's been running this program. So I'm looking to Melissa and Julie, not putting the pressure on you, but we've been trying to put this meeting together since January to come together. So where do we go from here tonight, knowing that we don't have school district staff here?
I know that our staff appreciate the partnership with the city of Tumwater.
Can you say that again?
I know that our staff appreciate the partnership with the city of Tumwater. I know that SRO Stauffer was really busy right before spring break. And I want to, this has been a long partnership. And even when other districts were dropping their SROs, that was never a question in Tumwater. Never a question. So I just, we all know what has happened, in the short, past, in which a lot of districts let go of their SRO program, and that never came up for the school board. So I want that. I think that's really important. That never had an agenda item on it. So I just want that reinforcement of we know how important they are to our kids and to the community. How we move forward is a great question, since I'm here as a board member, but I can't represent the board. But I'm speaking for myself. I will always support this partnership. Oh gosh, getting to 4 would be amazing. I support that goal too. And
that's good feedback for council. way, because we're
Yeah.
starting the budget cycle. So the
Yeah.
next item, so this is good feedback for council.
Yeah, and especially with, what I can say is the concern from our other school board members make it sound like they would also want more, since this was such a surprise and, so disruptive to a few of our school board members when Officer Bowling had to go back to patrol. It, as I can extrapolate, like, it sounds like they want more support in our schools, since they are so upset about losing one. So, I just, following the logic of the actions and the conversations we've had recently, it seems like that would be supportive. Don't know how to move forward without staff here, other than to say that I personally will be supportive of increasing this.
So I guess I'd like to give this space back to the chief and the sheriff and Jen, since we don't have staff here from the school district. What do you three, I mean, what does that look like for you three? Because we talked about staffing until September, and the sheriff's like, we don't have participants here willing to talk to us and work through this. How can we model the way and set expectations?
That's difficult when you don't have anyone you can have a conversation with. That's really hard. I personally think, just like I stated earlier, I personally think that we are okay with one SRO until we can get a second SRO in the schools. I think in September, if we can't staff that position, how we're handling the school now, we are delivering a high level of service still to the schools that one SRO can handle the workload and do what is needed. I firmly believe that. And just like I said earlier, if I didn't believe that, I would be on the phone to the sheriff saying, I need help. Please help us. And I don't think that's the case, Mayor. That my recommendation is that we keep the one Tumwater cop in the Tumwater schools. He's doing amazing work. He has a lot of support. He's making the connections with the kids that he needs to make. He's well received and extremely well liked. And so right now, I think we're okay. Like I said, is it ideal? No. But is it the worst case scenario? Absolutely not. We're still delivering a great service, and Tumwater School District is still getting what they need. So are their students.
I just wanted to acknowledge and just that there was, I think it was very unfortunate the way the last school board meeting, the agenda item was placed on the agenda. I think it doesn't reflect how the superintendent or other members of the school board feel that the relationship is going. And so I just wanted to, I apologize that occurred, because I think that was not an ideal way for us to have this conversation and not the way we should be having this conversation. I deeply appreciate the opportunity to have it now with all of you. I also wanted to just reiterate something I said in the meeting and I think is extremely important, which is that our schools will be safer when the Tumwater Police Department is able to deploy its officers where they are most needed. When our community is safer, our schools are safer, right? And this is so much more. Like that, we've already talked, and I'll just reiterate, the SRO program is about so much more than security in the schools. There's that counseling element, as you mentioned, that social work element to it. And I think that, it's going great. So I just want to, we're committed to the program. I think that I can speak for all of us to say how committed we are to the program. We're committed to Tumwater and Tumwater Police in the program. I think that is something I heard from other board members as well. And I know that it's a commitment on the part of the superintendent and the staff to continue a positive relationship there. And I hope we can go forward from this meeting to have further conversations. I do know we have discussed at the Tumwater School Board some concepts, some ideas, and want to talk with council about ways that we can continue the conversation, right? We have a proposal around, 2 members of council, 2 members of the school board, the city administrator, and the superintendent having some kind of regular way that we are meeting. That wouldn't replace, I think, a meeting like this. This is something that's important as well. But, you know, would really love to, you know, continue so that we can have these kinds of conversations and tap in to have a better tone going forward.
I want to hear from council. I know, Peter, before the meeting started, you had asked a question of like, well, if the timing didn't work for some people to attend, should council go to a school board meeting? Peter, do you want to talk about that?
Yes. So, I used to live in Gerson, Oregon. I came here in 2006. My son Nathan started at TSD, finished at high school. Is now over at St. Martin's. And Jonathan also is over at the high school. And Sasha is over at the middle school. So before that, back in 2003, my wife's sister lives in London. Has two sons. So one of the sons, Sam, was getting in trouble. That if you live in certain center, you're going to get in trouble. That's just what it is. So the mom wanted him to come to a school in America, where being a British citizen to need the visa. So I called the high school. I went to high school. And I said, well, here's my issue. I have this boy who wants to attend high school here. It's now a U.S. citizen, it's a British citizen. What should we do? The person on the phone said to me, well, you know, that's not good because they used to allow minority students here at the school. They don't do that no more. That's not. I never met this guy. I didn't know what he looked like. I didn't prompt him. That's what he told me on the phone. I swear to God. Well, anyhow, I said to myself, I hope to God when my kids go to that school, that's not going to be the case. But it has to be the case. And I'm not alone. I had hoped that all along I've been hearing, and when we work with the school district, we talk to them, I say, you know what? I have had my running with them, not my kids, not me. It has not always worked. Kids will be kids. So when kids have issues, you expect the adults to be adult and moderate. But when the adults start to shoot one person based upon certain preconceived notion, then we have the issue of racism, favoritism, blah, blah, blah. It would have been nice to see if they were here, but they're not here. So I think if they're not here, maybe we could go to them. Because this conversation is very, very, very important. It goes beyond us all and goes beyond the scripture itself. We live in the city of what, 22,000?
Yeah.
It's not a big place. If we're known for, oh, that person is a woman, that person is a man, it can be doing this, we're only 26,000 people. That's not what we should be known for. But that's who we are. Some people in their mind have assumed that, I look at those pictures of the world, right? I kept looking, I kept smiling, right? So they want to keep going. But they are fighting a lose battle. As soon as they accept the fact that people like me are going to live here, are going to come here, and we all live together as friends, or fight all the time. And to live together as one, we have to start from here. So.
I have an addition. In day job work in public health, at the intersection of public health and education, I've had the privilege of sitting in on joint meetings and joint sessions of Tumwater City Council and Tumwater School Board. over a long arc, and there is precedent for, it wasn't called whole child, but for joint efforts between the city and the school board, centering kids and centering families and centering public health. And so I'm really hopeful that we can grow from here. This has been kind of a rough start as a new member of council, and I'm not making it personal about me, but it's been like kind of a bumpy few months, I think people would call it. But I'm optimistic that whether it is we work with the superintendent and the school board to find a time and a place where we can come to you when it's convenient to you to continue these conversations, I think the will is there and the genuine commitment is here for doing right by kids and building community, and there's a lot of opportunity.
I mean, council doesn't request joint meetings very often. So for council to request a meeting with the school district and the board members, that's important. And I think we need to continue moving forward. And I want this meeting, you all to feel comfortable sharing your expectations. We've heard from Peter and Megan some of their expectations. Any other council member like to share?
I wrote something. I want to thank everyone who has made the effort to be here tonight for the ongoing commitment to our community. The absence of individuals this evening speaks clearly to where their true priorities lie. I would also like to acknowledge that Mr. Keel sends his regrets. He's currently out of state for work. He's expressed a strong willingness to cooperate with the city to improve access to school facilities. I hope that we can continue this work in the near future at a time that works for his schedule. As a new member of this council and a lifelong member of this community, I've made it a priority to listen closely to our concerns of our neighbors, to try to see topics not from one point of view, but from many. Over the past several months, one issue has come up again and again from parents, from educators, and community members. A lack of leadership within our local school district. Let me be clear, this is not about a disagreement. Healthy disagreement is a part of good governance. This is about conduct, accountability, and erosion of trust. While the city does not govern the school district, we do represent the whole community. And when concerns rise to this level, it is our responsibility as council to speak. Specifically, I want to address the actions of the current school board. At recent school board meetings, we have seen limitations placed on fellow board members' ability to ask questions. Agendas changed and published with little to no notice. Public comment restricted in ways that make it difficult for community members to participate unless they sign up well in advance. These are not small procedural choices. These are decisions that are directly impact transparency and public trust. It doesn't stop there. We are also seeing positions and a rhetoric that exclude and marginalize transgender students who deserve safety, dignity, and support in their schools. At the same time, a current board member is suing the very district he was elected to serve. And perhaps most concerning to many in our community is he has chosen to remove his own children from the public school system and enroll them in a private school. That raises a very real and very fair question. If you do not believe in the system you are leading, why are you leading? At what point do we acknowledge that leadership is not just about holding a title, it's about showing up with integrity, consistency, and genuine commitment to the community you serve? Because from where many of this community stand, that commitment is being called into question. Why has he not stepped aside and allowed someone else, someone who is invested in this district and believes in its future, to lead? Our community deserves leadership that is transparent, inclusive, and accountable. Our educators deserve to feel supported, not caught in the middle of dysfunction. And our students, all of them, deserve to feel safe, valued, and prioritized. This is not about politics. This is about people. This is about trust. And this is about the kind of community we are choosing to be. I remain committed to my role on this council and as part of this community to advocate for those values and to stand with the families, educators, and students who are asking for better. I've been lucky enough, Carlos went ahead and set up a ride along with our SRO program so I can speak directly to that. I got a ride along with Officer Stalker for the whole day. And his commitment to these children that are in our schools is invaluable. His relationship that he brings in there every single day, makes those commitments, goes around and sees kids that are struggling, either in their home life, in school, and he's making a commitment. So I strongly will go ahead and support our SRO program, and I truly believe that Tumwater police need to be in our Tumwater schools.
Mayor, is this still about the SROs? So I want to talk about welcoming and belonging culture because this is public health and safety. And I'm going to give you some background information when we were selecting the newest council. And it was the interview process. And there was one council member, I'm looking at her now, who asked me a question. And this question, I was just doing so well, you know, she was just saying, she just came out the air, you know. And she said, what do you think about race relations and how things are going? So I had to stop for a minute. And I said, talking about race is hard because it makes people feel uncomfortable. And we bring different lenses to looking at race. But we have to talk about it as a community. We can't continue to ignore it. And it's uncomfortable. So what I'm about to say is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for me. But as an elected leader in this community and the first Black leader to be appointed, I owe it to the community. So, ladies and gentlemen present here today and in the community, the city of Tumwater has not always been welcoming to people who look like me, a member of the minority community. This includes our school-age children. Since this is a public health and safety issue, the question is, how do we solve this problem? Here is what Tumwater leadership has done. At several planning meetings conducted during the past 2 years, we made a decision collectively to make welcoming and belonging a priority. This was intentional. We carefully chose every word in our strategic plan because words matter. Our city values in our strategic plan is the acronym PEOPLE, P-E-O-P-L-E. People, environment, opportunity, partnership, learning, and excellence. Tumwater has taken concrete steps to make these values known. Number 2, we passed a resolution designating Tumwater a Purple Heart City, honoring the sacrifice and service of veterans, active and retired. This makes a positive statement to military families and children moving into our community. It makes them feel safe and have a sense of belonging. Number 3, we established a racial equity committee for the first time, creating a structure for listening to marginalized voices. These are not just symbolic gestures. They are public commitments about who we are. Number 4, we passed a law to reject hate and for the civil rights of all people living and working in Tumwater. It is now official that we value inclusion and belonging. And I'm proud to clearly say that hate, bias, and intimidation have no place here. As elected leaders, we understand that a welcoming and inclusive culture is set, created, and begins at the top. These individuals seated here today, us, the mayor, and 7 council members, along with the city administrator and department heads. At the school board, it starts with all 5 school board directors and the superintendent to create welcoming and inclusive policies to care for all students, including the most vulnerable. I want to end with thanking these 2 school board directors who came to visit us, who respected us enough to come to talk to us about these difficult conversations that we must have. I look forward to engaging with you 2, as well as the other school directors. This way we can have the march in the July 4th parade with us. We always had school board members join us in the parade. What happened? We don't know. It's all about communication. It's all about leadership. And we are looking forward to engage as we move ahead. Thank you. That's all I have.
Angela likes to bundle, so she has bundled item number 7 to item number 3. So I want to wrap up
They are connected.
they are connected, which is why this is a more informal meeting and how it all ties together. So what we've heard from Chief Quiles is he is comfortable with Plan A being one SRO. We've also heard from Sheriff Sanders, Plan B is that the county partners with Tumwater School District. Is that what I'm hearing from you two? We got a Plan A and a Plan B?
Yeah, I will follow Tumwater's lead on this, so.
So we know you two have a great relationship and communicate. Can you two with Jen take the lead on circling back with the school district since they're not here?
Absolutely.
Does council and our board members, our guests feel comfortable with these 3 taking the lead and circling back with the Tumwater School District staff?
Yes.
Anything else you'd like to add for school resource officers?
One clarifying question. We had a temporary MOE that was supposed to carry us through August. That was, we were discussing that with district staff and having ongoing, they actually were the ones that wrote it, drafted it, and presented it to the city. It was in the process of being approved by our city council, and Board Member Watts, I so appreciate you acknowledging that board meeting, which was quite challenging, and frankly, it's frustrating to get the degree of questions that we received at that board meeting from 3 members that aren't here tonight when, you know, we're trying to talk about the very issue. But my question is did the board ever approve that temporary policy on your end? Was that signed and sent back to us? Do we know?
In terms of the board as a group, no, we did not take action in the meeting and have not had a subsequent action. However, I do believe that I believe Melissa articulated that we trust the superintendent to move forward without the board's.
We have a signed temporary agreement that takes us through August, and so Chief, I would just add, as you look at what September and beyond looks like, just know that our current temporary agreement is able to use to re-engage in discussions, and hopefully, if we re-engage in it, we'll have a better outcome with as it works through the board and approval process.
Peter?
How many students do we have in our school district? 6,000. So I'm asking that question because if this one school resource officer is doing the 6,000, is there a way to kind of sacrifice it to see how he's doing psychologically?
To see how Seth is doing psychologically with that load.
I meet with the officer stopper regularly.
Yeah.
We talk about how he's doing in the schools regularly. So yes, I mean, absolutely. We have a robust officer wellness program that he's familiar with in our department. But yes, there's frequent communication with Officer Stopper and follow through. So I appreciate, I really appreciate that actually.
Thank you, Peter. So do you 3 have what you need to move forward now that you have the support from council? We're gonna push Paul down, not physically, but we're gonna do 5 to 6, 6 to 5, and continue with Chuck. Oh, also, if this is the time that you'd like to, Joan has her hand up, but if you'd also like to leave, we won't judge you, Chair.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, I would ask, when you made the statement at the very end there and talking about circling back, and I lost myself in the circles of who was circling with who and how it was coming back to us, or where does our discussion go without getting dizzy?
That is perfect, because I didn't finish the circle. Chief, what are your thoughts? How do we finish the circle, and how do you come back to council for an update?
After I speak with the superintendent, I'll just provide an update, how the conversation went and what happened, what we discussed, and the direction that we think we need to keep moving in.
Does everyone feel comfortable with the chief sending an email? So we don't have to wait? Okay, so an email?
Sure. Yep.
Thank you. Great question, Jen. Circle now complete. We're gonna open the other circle and go back to Chuck, and Chuck's gonna talk about the Tumwater Fresh program.
No, I'm not finished with that. I'm wanting to know when you said also, Mayor, that you were going to talk to somebody or do something and circle back. Who is that, and what is it that you're bringing back to us?
Yeah, so that is another circle. Thank you, Joan. That circle is with Paul to find out why our superintendent and staff did not attend this meeting.
Oh,
So that will be another email update as well.
okay. Thank you.
And school board president. Yes, thank you. Fresh program?
Fresh program.
Fresh program.
At Isabella Bush Park, the Fresh program, a little quick history. We had a piece of property with a big storm pond and a small park on it, and an old barn that had all kinds of nefarious things happening at it. And it was either tear it down or do something with it. So 2015, we started working with the school district and Grub to see if we could create a program where kids who weren't doing well in high school, didn't fit within that class system, needed some other kind of education route, some way to graduate high school, could go through this program and learn a variety of skills, not just farming, through a school district program, both high schools, and get enough credits to graduate. So that was the big picture. We worked on a contract in 2015, 2016, freeway with Grub and the school district and the city, and agreed that we could do this. The city would provide the site, and that included access through the park and the barn, the barn we invested about $120,000 in the barn, new roof, new siding, new water line from Linwood, new electrical system from Linwood, and a new electrical panel. Just various things to fix up the barn, make it safe and accessible. And we agreed. We paid for the utilities and handed it over to the school district and to Grub and said, hey, you're the experts at education and working with these kids. Let's make this. So, fantastic program. Can't say enough about what we saw come out of that. And internally, I went into it like, is this going to work? But year after year, just blown away by the kids that came. Kids came in and the way the kids came out. Kids that were just off the charts, didn't want to be there on day one, were talking to city council. I think super cool. So anyway, a program that had a ton of support. Grub went away. We were able to work with the district and get Fresh. Money right now. Goes down. We've had Grub back on their own as part of the school. Do some farming there and try to keep some going. Just the moment we let that facility go, it's going to go back to what it was. People will break in, they'll tag it, they'll do the various things. So we want to keep activity there if we can. And I'm continuing to try to work with various groups to see if somebody or a farmer wants to use that. So hopefully someday we can get back to the Fresh program. But I've gotten mixed messages from the superintendent of the district about, maybe it's coming back, or no, there'll never be money for that. Done forever, or no, it's coming back next year. I'm not sure where it is, so I'm hoping that we can continue that discussion. Maybe find a way to make that work again. A lot of what I do is, my personal belief and just love of changing people's lives and doing it for the better, and that program is off the charts. And I'm sure you heard from a few people when it clipped there. It has a lot of support.
I'd like to start with Joan, because Joan was spearheaded this back in the day. Joan, you've known that the program has shut down. What expectations do you have moving forward?
Well, I'm really upset about the attitude of the school district toward this program over the last year or so, no longer maybe. School districts talk about graduation rates. They talk about the health, mental and physical and scholarly health of their students. And I wish we had a list of the students that graduated and now are similar to some of you who have graduated from Tumwater High School because of the FRESH program, or students who were able to get off their medications, or students who learned about gardening and who learned about a future career in agriculture through this. The attendance rates went up. Every single thing that a school district, not just Tumwater, but school districts look at as success for their students happened through this program. And the nights that I sat here and listened to graduates or people who were involved in that program over the years, I'm like, Chuck, it just choked me up. It was so exciting. And of course, I'm an old high school teacher, and I know these things to be true. And so how is it that through our school district, having seen the value of it and helping reshape or communicate in the school district and in the community at large, because we had people from Olympia and Lacey in this program also. This is something that educators should be touting and should be helping find some new ways to keep this program going, whether it's the same burden that they're saying is on the school district, find other ways to do it. I don't know. This is just a heartbreaking thing for me to see the young people the high school people in this community whose lives were changed, never to have those who follow them have the same opportunity. And I don't know how together we can, as community leaders, as city council, school board, what we should do, what we should talk about, how we can initiate. But sitting by and watching this disappear. And how about reading the letters that we've gotten recently and listening to young people? Anyway, that's my spiel. I was there with Chuck at the very beginning, sitting in the meetings and talking about things. We had people coming from all over the country, remember, Chuck, to sit in on our discussions to see how they could do this in their schools in Ohio or wherever some of those people were from. It was new, it was exciting, and I'd like to find out, Chuck, from some of those people if their program's still going. Probably some of those are and have expanded, but it's not a small deal. It's not a side project. And that's not, when people's lives matter like this, it's a big deal. Sorry to preach us.
Don't apologize.
No.
Thank you, Joan. So we've heard from Joan that she doesn't want to let this go. She doesn't want to drop this. So can we hear from other council members and our guests what your thoughts? Chuck is looking for a little bit of direction or thumbs up, thumbs down, right? What are your thoughts, Eileen?
I'm a numbers person, so I was curious how much it really does cost to run this program. As far as curriculum and, how much it costs for the instructor and what the Tumwater costs, the school district costs were. And because it sounds like our part was already covered. We've already done that as far as the city goes. But, and then just so we have something, is we are, no promises or anything else like that by any means, but we are going into budgeting and people are like, oh, we should figure it over. But
I mean, that's something you want to look at.
To be realistic, what are we looking at as far as real numbers? And I'm not going there, Chuck, but just having real numbers.
Well, yeah, and I
because we never thought we were going to do this in the first place, but we have, and so anyway, just wanted to have something that's factual.
It's as I understand, it's an educator position, and then there was
Mhm.
So what was that, I don't know, what is it, like $8 bazillion? I mean, I don't know what the number is.
No, it's like 70.
Yeah. 70 a year?
No.
Okay, no.
It was
70 bazillion, oh, okay, got it.
No,
No, but no, all right, well, really, but how much?
I made a note,
Yeah,
great point,
okay.
Patty, to circle with Troy as when we're presenting proposed budgets, that as an option for you all to see where it could fit, right? What that looks like. So, Chuck and Troy, Paul,
Well, we talked about
yes.
so.
How does it even work though, right? Because when we don't have the staff from them here either, right? So we could go ahead and say, hey, yeah, we're willing to. They're not saying that.
No.
But saying hypothetically, if there is the money and there is the budget to go ahead and put a grant or whatever it is together, how does that even work if our school district to be on board and they are even able to? So, yeah.
You know, I would like to just say, like, I was there in many of the school board meetings where we heard from students about how transformative this program was for them. I mean, students who had been homeless, students who had been just never thought that they could, never thought that they could graduate. And there was something about this program that their experience in this program gave them a new lease on life. And nothing could be more important than being able to take our students who are furthest from opportunity and have the greatest barriers and challenges and be able to have a program that's targeted and meets their needs and is able to get them to the universal outcomes that we want for all of our kids. So, I had the opportunity to talk with the superintendent yesterday, and, he assured me that there's nothing on this agenda here tonight that he's not interested in continuing the conversation. And that included the FRESH program. So I think, it's like we faced some really hard and horrible decisions with our budget situation, our fund balance situation, just even being able to meet our fund balance. We had to borrow money
Meet our payroll.
from our capital budget in order to meet our payroll. We had to make some pretty awful decisions, and in our last board meeting, we had to make another awful decision about cutting staff. And that is not the kind of board meeting that I like to be in. It just didn't feel good. Our number one priority is addressing our fund balance. But, it's like I'm committed to, the conversation around the FRESH program and how we can, restore this program when we're looking at a better budget picture for the school district, and would personally like to be a part of it.
I think also we think we can do the program better than what was happening. So that when we had to make this cut, it was never that it wasn't coming out. We had a conversation. I go, it's coming back, but we have to figure out how to make sure it's both Black Hills and Tullamore High School kids that get access to this program. We have to make sure that they can get to the program. Like we want to be able to do it better. We see other schools in the district who have 150 students a part of a program like this. We had 15. So we have to figure out, we have to figure out where more students get this opportunity, because we know that it works. Like Joan said, like Julie said, we know that it works, but it shouldn't just be for 15 kids. So we need to examine how it was set up. We think we can do it better, and that's what we're giving Kevin time to figure out as we fix the fund balance. He is trying to figure out how we can make this program better.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna, go ahead, John.
You want me to go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Also, what about if we think about this beyond it being just the Tumwater School District? Who can our other partners be? And start that way, instead of starting from we don't have enough money to do this, or we can't hire another faculty person, or that kind of thing. Why could we start from, well, how could we rebuild this program, reconstitute some of the parts of it by putting this out also out to the community. And there are retired folks out there who maybe this could be their thing or something. I to take some of the burden off of the school district and some of the questions that you've always had to answer about, not enough money or all of the things. I think we maybe should be concentrating on maybe some other partners, and let the community know what this has been, and that we need new blood, new help, new whatever.
I love that, Joan. There were conversations that Angelo's having with Thurston County, and Commissioner Menzer and Leonard were open to that discussion, so that's perfect, Joan. Thank you. Eileen?
I remember attending, we attended a meeting at the barn one time, and there were quite a few people from the community that were there. Because at that point, we were trying to figure out a way to save it. But my question is, so as far as like, has there really been like a forensic, like a study as like what was good, because we already know like the positives about the program. But the part like, yeah, I get it, like 15 kids, that's not enough to justify, mathematically, I get it. So what were the barriers? I mean, has there been a deep dive into why, what kept them from having more kiddos, or what was the deal? Have they really done that? Kind of okay, all right, I was just curious.
Yes.
Yeah, got it. I just wanted to
Yeah,
that work has been done.
Yeah. Like, does it fit better under Cascadia High School rather than Tumwater High School, right? And so they're
or New Market.
Or New Market, right?
Right?
Yeah, there
Yeah.
are lots that, yeah, exactly.
Like,
They have been thinking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, gosh, we started thinking about it right when we had to make the decision, like, how do we bring this back?
Yeah.
What are we? What is the number 15 that we keep coming up with? Only 15 kids in all these years have gone through this program?
No,
at a session.
at the time that we cut the program, it was serving 15 kids.
Well, yeah, because at its height, and when the teacher from Tumwater was there and everything was going, they had to limit some of the interest.
Right. Yeah.
The
There's a waiting list. Yeah.
In it. So we have to be careful when we use that. Only 15 kids. We need to kind of, thanks for that. I didn't
Well,
know.
and I struggle even saying that, because 15 kids is worth it.
Yes.
Also, right? So I say that. Yeah, exactly. We just can't afford it.
But as a program.
Yeah.
A good steward of your funds and things like that, when you've got, 30 kids in a classroom, how do you justify?
Yes.
Yeah. I get the math.
Yeah.
So I want to know the time. I want to move on to the Public Facilities District 2, but I want to do a temperature check with everyone that we want to continue this conversation and identify potential options that council and the school district are going to have to discuss. So more information to come. We don't want to drop this subject. Okay. Well then, thank you. So more to come with that. Now we're going to transition to Paul with Public Facilities District 2, which was item number 5, but I moved it to 6.
Thank you, Mayor Noha.
My pleasure.
So a couple of weeks ago, Superintendent Bogatin and I attended a meeting with the county and the city of Olympia and the Olympia School District and the Tumwater School District to talk about the closure of Evergreen Pool and the impact that that's having on our communities. Evergreen Pool has been a great facility, particularly for our competitive swim teams at all the high schools. But it hasn't ever really served the community as a community recreation facility. In 2021 and 2022, the 3 cities, the 3 school districts, the YMCA, several folks, actually, we're glad to hear about this, lots of Evergreen Swim Club, Evergreen State College, YMCA, the ECB, the EDC, regional stakeholders came together to do an aquatic facility feasibility study and basically look at, we know that there's a need for a public swimming facility in Thurston County. There was a ballot measure in the city of Olympia in the 80s that failed because the city taxpayers didn't want to fund the region's pool. Another one in Tumwater also failed. There was an attempt during the first public facilities district to include a pool in Tumwater. That unfortunately was unable to materialize, and here we are now, many, many years later, without a public swimming facility, which means that kids that can't afford a membership at a private club or even a YMCA don't have access to swimming. And it's very challenging for them to get swim lessons. So this study was looking at what would it look like to do an aquatic facility in the region, knowing that if we work together, we have a better chance of success. Also, we know that pools are expensive, and if we look at the problem regionally, it lowers the burden on the taxpayers. This slide is, we did a very extensive market analysis and feasibility study. This was one of the survey results. There are a few times that we get a 90% enthusiastic support from the community on very few issues. And when we did the question about when you hear about a regional aquatics facility, is this something that you would support?
Are these your slides? Did you create these slides?
These are slides that came from the feasibility study.
Okay.
That have been screenshotted into this presentation. Here's another one. Which statement best represents how existing pools that you're currently using meet your household needs? Only 4.8% meeting all needs. Right at the time, 55% meeting some needs. This is when the Evergreen pool is opening. So when that closes down, I bet if we were to ask that question today, we would get a very different answer to that question. I'd be happy to meet with any of you to go into extensive detail about this process and study. We looked at different options like 2 pools in different locations, looked at competition versus recreation. We looked at just about every scenario and used the market analysis and community stakeholders to eventually land on this facility design, which is a concept design. So again, this is a concept design from a feasibility study. So we haven't moved it past there. What I want to note is the lap pool is recreational, because at the time Evergreen had expressed to us as a group that they wanted to invest in their pool and they wanted to serve the competitive needs in the area, which then allowed us to focus more on the recreational needs. Knowing now that Evergreen is closing down, if we want to restart these discussions, we'll need to relook at this feasibility study and figure out what do we need to do to this lap pool. If we want a competition pool that's going to potentially serve 4 high schools and competitive swim clubs, we're probably going to need to maybe double the amount of lanes, increase depths with starting blocks, put deck space for bleachers and spectators, and other things that we may need to do to make this. So this design will need to be tweaked as this conversation advances forward. We did have some visuals that came out of what this facility could look like as part of this process. And the reason I bring this up is because when we were in the meeting, the superintendent actually spoke really eloquently about how he's passionate about having all of our kids in the Tumwater School District have an opportunity to have swim lessons. Every 3rd grader goes and learns to swim, or whatever age is appropriate. And when he said that, I kind of perked up, because this is a project. I was a competitive swimmer in high school and water polo player, and this is a project that I've been a part of, even in previous roles for several years, working with Chuck and many others from the community. So when the superintendent spoke up of that, and we see the school district struggling, we knew we had the council here, and we knew we had some board members, so we just wanted to raise awareness of this discussion. There's no action. This is more of an FYI, especially since the feasibility study happened during COVID. And so I don't know if it got the same level of attention and people are as aware of it as they could have been if this happened at a time that wasn't during COVID. But the next steps as we look forward, there's been new legislation that was passed in 2023 and then updated this year, thanks to our local delegation, Senator Bateman, Representative Dolio, and Representative Parsley, to allow us to create a second public facilities district. It's structured slightly different than the current public facilities district, but that gives us an opportunity to bring regional partners from across cities and county together. And so that'll be the next step, is a process where we talk about what that looks like. If we can get the local jurisdictions to come together and come to an agreement, then the next steps would be to look at a site selection for where will we place the aquatic facility study. If we hire it, what does that look like? And then from there, it would be developing a financial strategy, which would be a ballot measure to help with both capital construction as well as operations, and then the governance agreement of what this looks like to manage this facility. Does it happen similar to how we manage LOT or other facilities? So anyways, again, this is mostly just an awareness tonight. I don't want to go, I could go on and on, so I'm not going to for all your sake. But if any of you ever want to do a deep dive into this, I'm happy to share more background and information. And just know that there's more to come, and we hope that as we continue these discussions, that the school board can be a partner as they were. And I will say at the time, Superintendent Dotson participated in almost all of the stakeholder meetings. He was actually very active in the process through the whole time. So we appreciated the Tumwater School District's involvement as we did the study, and we hope to continue to work with you moving forward.
So more to come, just a heads up. We have 25 minutes left of this meeting, and I kind of want to combine 7 and 8, knowing that council's priority is a community that is welcoming and belonging, and it shows in your strategic goals and priorities. Tying that into 8, the opportunities for future collaboration. I'd like to hear from all of you, rounding out tonight, right? Just hearing from each of you. Whoever wants to start, then it's going to go in the direction of that person. Peter.
I think if they're not going to come to us, we should go to them. I don't see any harm in doing one-on-one and starting here.
Thank you. Ellie? It's Scally-based, because after watching the school board meeting, there's not a space for your meetings. So, sign up for comment and all. I don't think there's a place for us. I don't know if you do it in that forum. There's a place for it. Not to be scally.
No, that's valid.
But there isn't a place. You know, we couldn't do this. So I don't know what that would look like. It would have to be another meeting, I guess. And it obviously they don't want to show up to this one, so I don't know what that would look like. I think it would be nice to be able to get together. Just I think the things that we talked about tonight are things we should talk about, and they're not threatening. These are things that we have common interest in. They're not. This is all. You know, this was a good meeting. I think that there are things that we should talk about because the schools and people consider moving here. You know, because we have things that really resonate in people's heads. That you know, if you want to stay in community, if you have great parks and what kind of facilities you have, and if you have schools. I mean, if you have kids, that's like the number one thing you look at when you're going to buy a house in this community. You know, you look at your schools and everything else like that. And if you can't get them to the table, I mean, like, this is threatening. This isn't threatening. Like, we should be having these kinds of conversations because we are, you know, this is what we do. You know, this is why I moved here, because it was Tumwater, it was a safe place, like the schools and all. And that meeting was awful. It was really, really hard to watch. And I feel bad for you guys having to serve on that board, because it was very painful as an elected, and then as a, you know, anybody else from the outside having to watch that meeting was very painful. So, yeah.
Thank you for making that space. Sure. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Eileen. Melissa?
In the vein of welcoming and belonging and teacher collaboration, I've said this a bunch of times and I've never done it, so I'm going to say it out loud in public, and maybe it'll get me off my duff. I really think it's us going to the community, and I would love to partner with a council member to go to HOA meetings, go to, you know, I want to go to people. I don't want to invite them to us. I want to actually go to people and talk about what we're doing in the school district and what we're doing in the city, and invite, you know, conversation. I came up with this, that it really has been going on a long time. I came up with this when we were talking about equity issues in Tumwater School District. And to Councilmember Jefferson's point, the only way we get better as a community is if we talk about these tough issues and show each other that we can talk about these tough issues. I am a Tumwater kid, and I believe in this community. That's why I still live here. And I know every time I sit down with someone, I can find agreement with them.
no matter what, it's always a fun thing to do when I'm doorbelling. I can always find agreement. And I can't do that by inviting them in because it's really intimidating. I can only do that if we go to them. So I would love to collaborate in the future with council members to go out into the community and talk to people, not inviting them to the coffee shop because they don't show up, but actually they don't show up to HOA meetings either, probably. But it is, I think it's one place that we can start talking with people and showing them that we can have tough conversations and that we are all neighbors. To Peter's point, we're all community members. And Tumwater is a special place, and I just want everyone to know we believe it's a special place. Everyone. I know that not everyone believes that, and that makes me sad. So I want to demonstrate and show that we can do better.
Yes.
Leetta, could you restate the question you're asking?
What a summary take home from tonight's meeting is knowing that creating a community of welcoming and belonging is important to council. What opportunities would you like for future collaboration? Like, what do you want to see next?
With the school board?
Correct. Right, Peter and Eileen have talked about, we want to have a meeting with the school district.
I want to thank
Melissa wants a buddy system.
I do.
I want to thank Melissa for her comments just now. I was listening to those and thinking how many opportunities we've gone somewhere, even, during when we are running for office or whatever, to take a school board member with us and just say, I'd like to introduce you to someone else in our community. I mean, that's easy. And we're proud of each other, so it'll show in the community. I think that's great. That's a great idea.
Thank you, John. Great feedback. Angela.
There's two types of leadership culture in any organization, any city. You have positive leadership, and you have negative, toxic leadership. In a positive leadership, you got great communication, you have happy employees, you have happy citizens. Negative, toxic leadership, you have dysfunction. And dissatisfied, unhappy employees who just complain because they're unhappy, they hate coming to work, they hate living in their city, and they're ready to move. Today was helpful. However, with 2 of 5 school board directors willing to meet and talk, I don't know if this is going to be fruitful going ahead. And with no staff here, right? So my recommendation is when we have at least 3 who are willing to talk, and then we can meet again semi-annually, annually to talk. However, now, after this, I don't think it's helpful. But this first one, I'm happy about it. But this is about teamwork. And right now, less than half of the team is here. So we're just wasting our time if the majority of the school board members don't want to talk to us.
Carlos, I'd like to hear from you as well, like your take home for tonight.
Well, I would hope going forward that the school board understands and trusts that the city of Tumwater and the Tumwater Police Department are here for the schools, the kids, trust in our decision-making and what our priorities are, that we will not fail the schools, we will not fail the community, we will not fail the kids, and that if we thought that would be the case, we would be making different decisions. And I would hope that the communication coming back from the board and school staff is open, honest, and transparent with us, so we know exactly what the real issues are, what the concerns are, so that we can talk about them, and we can address them, in open dialogue, and that there just aren't any hidden agendas. Because I do believe that we are all here for the same reason, the same purpose. I do believe that the school board, the city of Tumwater, Tumwater Police are here for the community and the kids. and we have to do it together. We're successful when we do it together. It works better when we do it together, and I just don't see any reason why we can't do it together.
Joan, what's your take home for tonight?
Well, I always appreciate open conversation like this. I think it's important. I think it's really important for us to see each other this way, and even among staff. I mean, even among the city council. I think that. Well, let me just say, I was an elected member of the school board in a smaller, probably city, and it happened to be in Carmel, California, and all we had to do was get Clint Eastwood to come, and we would have everybody. It wasn't a problem. Anyway, that there are some true stories in that. And so what we did on that school board, because there was a big issues going on for the school board, is that we had a representative from the city council and the school board on each other's board, not a voting member, but who came. So it would be like somebody on our city council, one of your assignments is to go to a school board meeting and then report back. So it's not just now and then the school board would choose someone who came to council meeting. So instead of forcing, you're just there to learn and what you want to take back and, I don't know, be together.
Joan, that's such a great idea. Brandon has volunteered to do that.
I'll give you some Clint Eastwood tricks.
I will take all the advice you might give. Okay, I'm gonna circle back with you on that one.
Thank you, Joan. That's perfect. Julie.
Yeah, well, I just want to, first of all, just on the topic of creating a community of welcoming and belonging, you know, I don't think I made it any secret when I ran for Tumwater School Board that this was the most important issue for me. I don't think that kids, when they don't feel safe or feel like they belong or feel like their school is a welcoming place for them to be where they feel accepted, I don't think they can really learn. And I have personal experience of the barriers to that. I love Tumwater. I love the Tumwater School District, but we're not there yet. That's very personal for me. So I also feel that our school district can't thrive unless we're deeply connected to the broader community that we're in. And it needs to be, we need to have this relationship between school board and council, school board, not just having our meetings where we have people come to us and hear from us, but we need to be out in our community, hearing where people are and meeting them where they are. So I would love to maybe do the flip side as well of what Joan just proposed.
Julie, come volunteer.
To have a school board member come to council also, and if we
Yeah.
So Brandon and I are going to need a lot of.
One more meeting.
In advance of this meeting, I poked around on the internet to try to get a sense of how frequently these bodies have met. While I didn't get a conclusive answer, I came across some interesting things that were not joint meetings that I was a part of. There was a joint meeting around racial equity learning some years ago that a number of long-serving council members were a part of. And so I just want to say again that there is a long, rich history of having joint work sessions and joint meetings to advance shared goals, and I look forward to more of those. And one of the questions that I have, and I could have asked offline, but we'll just do it right here, is how do agendas get set for school board? Does the school board president set it unilaterally? Does the superintendent set it? Do board members go to board meetings and say, I would like to make sure that A and B are covered in future work sessions? That's sort of how it works here. If we have one or two of us say we really want a work session on blank, then it goes into the hopper and then it comes out.
We'll make it happen.
So, you don't have to answer right here on the spot, but that's something that I don't totally understand and have full visibility on. And I am hopeful that there are levers that are at our collective disposal to find a way to have another chance at us coming to you all. And I don't know what that looks like. But thank you for being here.
I think we should answer info, because we have had this conversation. So
Okay.
the superintendent, you know, like, oh gosh, you guys have to approve this report. So the superintendent comes up with a list of things. The board president meets with the superintendent every week. But anytime two board members ask for something on the agenda, then it gets added to the.
So do you two feel comfortable going back to your board and saying there's unanimous council request to have a joint meeting where council will go to you? Is that comfortable with council?
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on this?
Well, I would like to just throw out that, well, I will always tout my staff as phenomenal. You know, a number of great people in the city, and the school district has this a ton of great people, great to work with, people that truly care, people that we like to work with. So as we talk about, you know, sometimes it gets doom and gloom, and we're not there, we need to be there. There's really some great stuff going on, and we need to celebrate that.
Yes, yeah, very true.
And then kind of what you were talking about, we kind of test piloted a program, I think 2 years ago at our Falls Fest, where we had a booth for elected officials, where we had.
Like a dunking booth?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I was there.
Falls Fest.
I was
You were
there.
I think maybe Kelly was there.
Oh.
Where we just put up a booth, and or maybe you were there for different reasons. I know we
Mm-hmm.
did this. Where it was, hey, I'm on the city council.
Oh, yeah.
Come talk to
Yes,
me,
yes,
do
we
you
did that, yes. We
have
still
Yeah.
thought a lot about it.
I could see, yeah.
If I could, you know, it was Falls Terrace, and what are we doing with the, yeah.
So,
Those were the two hot questions, yes. It was fun, yes, it was.
Should we open that up to school board members to
Right,
join us?
if we want to talk about
Yeah,
doing.
no, it was fun. You're right, ask your council, it really was fun to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do 11 major events a year from a couple hundred
The
people.
Falls Fest was fun.
50,000
I did,
people.
yeah.
And you get, Carlos may have to sit in the back of the tent at some point.
They were really nice.
Yeah.
They really did, it was, you know, Falls Terrace was the biggest one, if you can do anything about that.
It's on our list we're working on.
The event, yeah. So I think people really appreciated that.
I love that.
Yeah, forward accessibility, which is a theme.
Yeah, and school board, yeah, it'd be great.
Oh, it's my turn. Okay. I think this is a great opening. I do understand the frustration. I agree with Angela. How do we move forward if people are not willing and able? But on that same aspect, like I said, there are some great things that are going on in our community. There's some things that we should be highlighting. Thank you both for being here. It does speak to your integrity, who you are, so not only elected officials, but people that are here in our community that have kids that are going here that went to our school, you know? So ultimately, I think that's what we're all here for, is that we care. We love this city. We want to do the best. And how do we do that? I don't know exactly. Julie brought up the idea of having, you know, with 2 members from their board, 2 council members, Paul and Kevin coming together. I love that idea.
That's all on the table.
Yeah, however we can open up communications that is working better for everybody, I'm in.
This is a statement from Mayor Pro Tem Von Holtz, who's unable to be here. Starts with, "I'm sorry, I'm unable to join tonight's meeting. These opportunities to come together matter, and our community deserves strong collaboration between the city and our schools. I'm in Washington, D.C. this week advocating to ensure our congressional delegation keeps Thurston County, and especially Tumwater, front of mind as they work on the transportation reauthorization bill. This work is about bringing resources back to our community and supporting the systems our residents rely on every day. I want to thank board members Julie Watts and Melissa Beard, along with the staff, or not in this case, who showed up tonight. I truly appreciate your time and your willingness to engage. Building a relationship between the city and the school board is essential. We have real opportunities to align our work and better serve our community when we are at the same table. I also want to say this candidly. These meetings only work when we are all willing to have important and sometimes hard conversations. Our residents expect and deserve that we are willing to come together, have conversations, and work through challenges collectively. I remain committed to that, and I look forward to future joint meetings where we can continue to build that partnership. Thank you, Kelly." So my take home, I think this conversation tonight was extremely valuable. I've been in this role, as I said, it'll be 3 months on Thursday. And one of the observations as a new person coming in that I've seen the most is one of the areas that we have had contention around has been the relationship between the city and the school district. And so it was a priority for us and the staff to really reach out to the school district and foster that relationship and build connections and communicate often and early. And so on the first week on the job, reached out to the superintendent, and we were able to get together, arranged a meeting with the mayor and the superintendent and myself shortly after that, have a reoccurring meeting set up with the superintendent, talking about issues that I didn't know when I started that we were going to have a temporary adjustment to our SRO. And so having that series set up allowed a platform for me to talk to the superintendent and then create an avenue for the chief to go in and start building his relationship as a new chief with the city and work through some of these challenges. And so it felt positive and it felt like we were making progress, and then it didn't. And so I'm not sure if the disconnect where that's at, but, leading up to this meeting, at first it was, let's have a joint meeting together with the city council and the school board. And that was the plan all along. We offered a couple of dates. We didn't hear anything back. We reached out again. We didn't hear anything back. We reached out again with a couple more dates. We didn't hear anything back. And all this time, we're working through the challenges of the SRO, and the staff are working with us on the MOU. And then out of nowhere, we learn about an accusation that the city is breaching the contract, and it shows up as an agenda item on a school board agenda abruptly just 24 hours before without notice. All while we're working from an administrative level in good faith to work through solutions. So we responded, and I attended that meeting. You both were there, and took some really hard questions from all three board members who aren't here tonight and aren't present, who seemed very concerned about the SRO program. And one of the things that I shared at the meeting in the response was half of the partnership is not in the room. The city council was not with me. I was there to speak on behalf of the city as the city administrator, but the city council, which is half of the partnership of the SRO program, was not in the room. So I implored and begged the school board, and thank you both so much for being here, to come to this meeting. What I heard after that, and the message I received back was, 2 of the board members were out of town. The other one was planning not to come. There was no reason. But that we would have 2 board members here, and that there would be district staff to support it. So while we weren't excited about that, at least it was something that we could continue to look forward to. And so we continued to plan this meeting, build the agenda, sent more versions and more drafts of what the agenda would look like to the superintendent. And until yesterday, there was still 2 board members and staff coming to support it. And then we learned late yesterday that in fact, the staff weren't coming, they were instructed not to come, and that the agenda that we had been discussing for months and had sent over for review was not acceptable, and that we shouldn't have had logos on there, and that this isn't an official discussion. And I guess for me, what's unfortunate about all of that is this is probably one of the most productive discussions I've been a part of between a city and a school district. And the thoughtfulness and the level of depth that we were able to get to in terms of partnership and how we can work together and how we can better serve the community. This is what government's supposed to be doing. This is good government, and this is good collaboration between government agencies that are serving the Tumwater community, which is an incredible community. And so where I'm at tonight is it's been a rough ride to get to this point, but I'm optimistic about the relationships that are being developed in this room. And also if we can, hopefully we can re-engage with the staff. They were told not to be here tonight. Hopefully that's a one-day instruction and not a disengage, because that would be a complete disservice to our community if we were to go backwards from here. We need to go forward together. We're so much stronger together. So my hope is that we can reset coming out of this. Hopefully for the staff members and board members that aren't here, hopefully they're able to watch the recording of this. This will be recorded and online, so it's available if they want to hear the discussion and the ideas. And even if they want to provide feedback, we would welcome that, because we do want to engage with the people who are in this room and the people who are not in this room, because we are so much stronger if we move forward together. So sorry, Mayor, that is where I'm at.
Don't apologize, that was perfect. I'm just going to wrap us up. When Tumwater presented at the State of the Community earlier this year, there was 3 things that we're focusing on in Tumwater: is turning up the energy, which means how we engage, doing some really cool stuff, and moving forward together. And one thing I've learned from Eileen and Joan is optics and the messaging. So when people are present, that is a message. When people are not present, that is also a message. So my message is that I am setting expectations for those who are not here, that join us and let's work together. If not, it's going to be really uncomfortable for you, because we're not stopping. Because we are focused on serving our community, and what that looks like is the overlap of our youth and our families. So I'm not going to stop. And I'm not going to be bullied to remove a logo and change a title. That is a waste of my time. That is a waste of your time. And that's not how I serve, and that's not how I'm going to serve, and that's not how I lead. So let's focus on where we overlap, and let's move forward together. And I ask those who are not present to really consider the legacy that you're leaving. And I'm not going to stop. With that, meeting adjourned.
Here, here.
Can we do a group photo with the 2 board members that are here?